Core rehabilitation exercises. I know you've seen them, a ton of them. You find tons of free ones through YouTube. Every pre and postnatal expert seems to have some sort of heal your core, heal your diastasis program. And a lot of these exercises are repetitive in the sense that there are very smart, core-specific, inner core unit specific exercises that we all tend to use and come back to depending on the individual that we're working with. So today we're going to go over our top 3 most noticed, the ones that we see all of the other experts using, coming up on YouTube, on social media. People tend to find them all over the place. The most mainstream core rehabilitative exercises. So when I say core rehabilitative, I mean whether you're just being really smart about strengthening or re-strengthening the core post-birth, or you do have some sort of core injury like diastasis recti or pelvic floor incontinence prolapse, and you're really wanting to do this more rehabilitative route before jumping back into exercise. These 3 exercises, if you haven't seen them, I will be very surprised. But then again, who knows? They're just all over the place. We want to make sure you're doing them correctly. I often see women on social media doing these incorrectly. I've seen experts cue them in a way that I think, I wonder if they cued it the way that I would cue it if their client would actually see quicker improvement in their core strength, in healing their diastasis. Because I think oftentimes, and I see this a lot in my practice, so I've had to coach women out of this, but 1, hip flexors in all 3 of these exercises. Hip flexors really want to fire. 2nd, quads want to help out. So if we're getting hip flexors, then quads, or quads, then hip flexors, everyone's body is different, and then core potentially firing 3rd, it's not that effective, right? We want to teach you how to get your core to fire first. So getting out of the hip flexors, trying to turn off the leg muscles and just access the core. So again, turning these 3 super mainstream core rehabilitative exercises into something a lot more effective for you guys. And if you're already doing it correctly, awesome job. That means that you probably learned from someone who knows how to cue and knows how to help you in the right ways. Again, if you guys ever have questions about who we like to refer to, who our favorite colleagues in the business are, we do have some that we really, really love. So if the Bloom method isn't a good fit for you, we can always find someone who is. Okay, let's get started. So we're going to come onto our backs. All 3 of these exercises are going to be from a supine position. And now that I'm almost 20 weeks pregnant, I've become super, super anal, as if I wasn't even before pregnancy, about regulating the pressure in my core. And I've noticed super early in my pregnancy that as the uterus grows, that pressure regulation is insane. I haven't so far noticed any doming or coning within my abdomen and any movements that I do, but I'm super aware of the pressure. So I'm gonna come down onto my side instead of just reclining back. I'm still gonna activate, so lift the pelvic floor and hug baby, and then come down onto my side. And then come down onto my back. So we're gonna start with the most basic core rehabilitative exercise, and that's going to be leg slides. Some people call them heel slides. And what I want you guys to do is soften everything. You're going to have a light touch on the floor beneath you. Feet are flat. You're going to exhale and activate your inner core unit. So lift and wrap. Making sure that everything from the pelvic floor up to the rib cage is activated. You're then going to inhale without releasing your core. So we are not inhaling diaphragmatically. As you inhale, core stays activated, you send your left heel away from you. You then exhale, going deeper in the core to lift, wrap, and pull the leg back in. Inhale, send the right leg out. Core and pelvic floor stay activated. Exhale. You replay that initial activation that you did from the beginning because you never released it. You're just replaying all of that over and over again. And the movement, inhale, lift and wrap. I just did 3 of those. Again, I said this is the most basic rehabilitative exercise. Prenatal mamas can do this too. It's usually pretty safe as long as you can stay connected to the core. And that 3rd lift of the leg slide just made my deep core tremble and shake. So if you're doing it correctly, we want these moves to come from the core. So a couple of things. If you're feeling it in your leg, chances are you're putting too much weight in the leg. So the leg is too heavy. And then you pull with the leg more than thinking about that lift and wrap. As soon as that lift and wrap begins to happen, that's when you pull the heel in. Inhale, don't let the core release. So I'm not letting the core release here. I stay activated. And then I go deeper. You will also notice your back. When you activate your core correctly, that inner core unit in a supine position, I don't know if you can see, but I have a pretty lordotic spine always. Has nothing to do with my pregnancy, although it probably will get worse. So when I activate, I don't tuck my pelvis. This is a common cue to try to get people to get deeper into that TVA, and we're just not a huge fan of it. So I'd rather you have neutral spine, and then you activate, and the back naturally is gonna find a meeting place with the floor or the mat beneath you, and that's where I want you to stay. When you send the leg out, core is activated. The connection to the back and the mat stays the same. And then when you go deeper in the core, working the core deeper to pull the leg back in, you may notice your low to mid back gently press further into the mat. It's because you're recruiting those muscles even more. Okay, last one. So now we're gonna move on to marches, another pretty simple core rehabilitative exercise. You're gonna exhale in the same way you did. So we always at the Bloom Method start our core specific exercises with that activation. Lift and wrap. Feel the connection with the back and the mat. Exhale. Lift, wrap, drive the knee to the chest. Inhale, don't release the core. So feel the core work in both directions. It just works harder as it picks up your knee. Inhale, start to slowly drop the heel. Core stays activated the whole time. So what we're ultimately teaching you is to never let the core get a break in any of these exercises. So if you do have separation, you're hopefully at a place where your separation is functional. So you're closing that separation almost completely, within reason, and then we work it while we stay at this shortened space with the muscles, instead of, sometimes I see people exhale, lift, or they don't even exhale and use their core, it's just all in the legs and hip flexors. Or when they inhale, they start to drop the leg and the core just releases. To give you a visual, if you can somewhat pretty much close that diastasis, when you activate, it's like you pick up the leg and then you drop the leg, and then you pick up the leg and then you drop the leg, and then you pick it up and then you drop it. And at what point are we strengthening the muscles to stay in that closed, healed position? So remember, the same thing with the marches. Leg is as light as a feather. Try to turn the hip flexors off and utilize the lift and the wrap. Feel the core get tighter as the leg is picked up by the core muscles to drive knee into chest. Last exercise, and this is the most challenging. We're going to come into what we call alternating heel taps. They are probably called various things depending on the person teaching them. You're going to activate, lift and wrap, Make sure that container is super tight. And then inhale as you bring one leg at a time up to tabletop. Notice that my core never turned off. Knees stack on top of your hips. You can always place one hand on the belly to make sure you're not pushing up. You're being able to regulate that pressure. Inhale. Keep the core activated. And then exhale, pick it up. Inhale. Do not diaphragmatically inhale. Keep that core tight. Lift and wrap. I'm already shaking. Inhale. And exhale. Good. One more. Inhale. And exhale. And then when you come out of it, again, stay connected to the core and then release. So anytime we move where we're recruiting the core muscles, whether getting into a core exercise, getting out of a core exercise, doing any exercise, or functionally moving throughout our day, we really want to make sure that we're always regulating the pressure, not just trying to regulate the pressure for the exercise component of the move. So hopefully that helped you guys make some sense of how you could potentially be lacking effectiveness in some of these pretty mainstream core rehabilitative exercises. Again, the simple cues and rules are keep your legs as light as a feather. We have a tendency when moving our legs in relation to the core, just like if we were to climb upstairs, we overfire those hip flexors. So the hip flexors, it's not that we want to completely turn them off, but we don't need them to work at 100 or even 85%, because when we utilize the core correctly, we actually can take some of the job and the work off of the hip flexors, let the core work, and balance out how much those muscles are having to work during movements like climbing stairs, doing core specific exercises. If you do kickboxing, doing exercises where you're kicking the leg up, we can move a little differently than we do from day to day to help the core be recruited deeper, move more efficiently, and take some of the brunt off of those hip flexors. Hip flexors tend to be really tight in a lot of people. So if we don't make them work as hard, we learn to move a little smarter, things work in our benefit. And then in regards to your core specific exercises, you see the benefits and the results a lot sooner. And for those of you who think that the leg slide move or the marches would be way too easy for you, try it the way I just taught you how to try it. If it can make you tremble and shake, then it's challenging you. That's also a really good indication that you're getting into the muscle the way we want you to. So, as always, questions down below, and reach out if you need individual help. We're always here for you. Thanks for tuning in, always. See you soon.